So, hello everyone. Hi, CSP. This is
Hi.
our last day at Limmud, and look who we have.
Hi, I've met many of you. Hello, Clive Lawton.
If you don't know, Clive founded Limmud.
A long time ago. It started in 1980. I was only 6 at the time, and so it's been going for over 40 years now. Yeah.
And for me, I was kind of thinking, you always have this thing of if you met someone, what would you ask? And now I actually get to ask. It's not theoretical.
Right.
And Limmud is obviously learning.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask what learning is for you.
Well, learning is everything you do after education is finished, I think. It's what you remember. It's what makes a difference to you and grows you as a person. You learn in all kinds of ways. I mean, we learn from experience, we learn from books, we learn from others, we learn from our own reflection. But it's the ways in which you grow or develop and become, if it's a positive learning, because of course there can be negative learning too. If it's positive learning, the way you grow into a finer human being over time. And then, of course, Limmud, it's a Hebrew word, and that tells you we're in a Jewish context here. So we're talking about Jewish learning. And one of the things that was a fundamental principle of Limmud and continues to be the case, you can testify to this at the program, is that Jewish learning is kind of whatever contributes to a person's sense of Jewishness. I try and resist the word Judaism. I don't think it's a Jewish word. You know that because it's got ism on the end, and that's not a Jewish ending. That's a Greek ending, right? So you know Judaism, isn't it? And I quite like the term Jewish stuff. I think that's what we're doing here. Jewish stuff, whatever it is, whatever you think is Jewish stuff. Limmud is really dedicated to a glorious lack of quality control, right? Anybody who wants to do anything can come and do it pretty well. If we can find a room for them and a slot on the timetable, let them come and do it, and let the people choose.
I was just wondering, because Limmud is started way back when,
yeah.
And now it's evolved into 1,600 people here. Has it changed and taken over and become something that you imagined or beyond your imaginations? And then on that note, one step further, what is your vision then for the future of Limmud?
Well, Limmud has actually shrunk because COVID, I think, shrunk us. So prior to COVID, we had nearly 3,000 people.
Wow.
And in this area, it's a part of the Midlands.
Did you ever imagine that at the beginning?
Yeah, at the very first one, I said we had 70 people, and I went on record saying I see no reason why we shouldn't have 3,000 people. Right? Is that actually that number? And we got very close to it just in the year before COVID, which, by the way, was chaired by my daughter. But that's by the way. We had. So it has been bigger, and we've been rebuilding since COVID. I say we. I'm like a grandfather. I don't do anything. I just kind of quell and accept people's approval. There's other people doing it, volunteers and new generations, the children of the people who are involved, like my daughter, but others even younger. So we had a vision. Certainly, you're right, and I think that vision's largely been realised, and not least because it's been so influential on other organizations. The vision for the future, well, it's not my business, is it really? I mean, it'll make its own vision. I just watch. I would say, I mean, certainly more of the same. And I should mention, and I think some of you may be aware, Limmud is spread all over the world. I think are new issues, and who knows what the new issues are for the future. I hope that Limmud will continue to explore them. I hope that it won't get intimidated by the various powers who have always tried to restrict and determine what is acceptable and not acceptable for Jewish community discussion. And those of you who hear the slamming door in the background, that is the way that things are in Limmud. Nobody flipping respects the fact we're making this. There's just another what's going on, right? They're coming and they're going and they're doing all that stuff.
Is there something you kind of haven't taught and really want to teach. We've been talking about learning, and you've been teaching for years. And I'm sure you have your bestsellers and all, but is there something in your heart kind of or mind that you haven't taught yet and thinking, oh, I want to teach that?
I have tried very hard, and I think over the last 40-something years, I have not repeated sessions at Limmud. I've always, I mean, there are things that I do at Limmud, and somebody says, "Well, will you give that session somewhere else?" But anybody who's seen me teach will know I don't use notes. I make it up as I go along, so that if I do the same topic, it can come out differently. So I'm constantly on the lookout for a new territory. I think there's stuff to do about Israel, which is so difficult and so fraught with everybody's anxieties that it's difficult to know how to talk about it. But I would like to explore that territory. This year, I've tried to pick up things that, you know, Jews mostly don't talk about or don't know what they think. So I'm talking about, you know, does God still exist? Because the Jews don't like talking about God, do they? They much prefer to talk about what are we going to do.
The wonderful thing about CSP is that we're a community of learners, very much, I think, inspired.
That's why I so enjoyed being part of that.
And I think we can be a lovely territory for you to practice the topics you're interested in. So we have Haredim Israel, does God exist? And what about life after death? Okay, so I'm kind of assuming that we'll be seeing you on our CSP programs. We're going to make that happen.
I hope so.
And thank you. Thank you for this. And thank you
thank you for creating Limmud.
Yes.
Well, it's lovely, isn't it? And I hope some more of you will come and see what it's all about for yourselves.
Yes.
It's a great time.
Yes. Toda rabba.
Toda rabba.
Toda. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye all.